Okay, so well, let me go back to this other one. We're talking about the 5 C's, and I'm going to hit clarification and customers. Clarification because you really need to understand your business in order to do social media correctly. And that's what people don't understand. They'll say, somebody told me I need to be on social media, I need to be on Facebook, so teach me how to do it. But it's not that simple. You have to know why you're on it and who you're talking to, which is where we get to the customer. So you have to really, truly understand your customer, what and how to talk to them and what they need. So first I'm going to talk about why do we bring so much business strategy into the SMART group. Second, I'm going to present the Lean Canvas framework that we use for strategy. And even if you don't have your own business and you're looking at consulting or doing social media management for another company, you need to understand your client's business. So you'll still need this framework. And then I'm going to sum up with where are my customers, since that's what everybody always asks. And that's so why business strategy? So because you're sitting here thinking, why is she going to talk about business strategy? I'm here to learn about social media. And I'm going to say to you, well, what I just said, which was that the underlying whole strategy of your social media strategy is your business strategy. So can anyone tell me if you know of any business that worked 100% right off the bat? Nobody? Okay. That's actually, he changes it a lot. In fact, he changes it weekly. So there's really no business that's static. You come up with your plan A and your concepts, and then you iterate, you test and you iterate, and that's what we're going to show you with this Lean Canvas format, is what you always need to be doing. Even if you've been in business for like 15 years, you still need to go back and look at what distill it to the specific principles. So since I just said most plan A's don't work, so you need to test. You build it on untested hypotheses. So like you might say, well, I assume that I thought of this great product or this great service, and I assume there's a need for it. And this is who should want it. Well, then you go through and you have to test if you're right. And it may turn out, and a lot of times it does turn out, that you haven't nailed down the exact need or problem that your customer has. So that's what we're going to be working on the next couple of months here. And I'm going to talk about Lean Canvas in a second, but I want to point out that it's not a strategic plan. Actually, Maureen, you can relate to all this because we've talked about it. I was just thinking about that. A lot of businesses think they have to either hire somebody to do a big strategic plan for them, or they have to do their own. But you know, that is not something that you work with, and it's usually something that an investor requires that you do, and then they file it away and it gets dusted and nobody ever looks at it again, right? So what the Lean Canvas is going to be is something that you work with constantly. And on the Lean Canvas, where it all centers, I'm going to show it to you in just a minute. So, Sheree, if you're looking at me like you know, because you know this Lean Canvas so well, I was like, is she going to say the right thing? Oh, okay, good, good. The focus on, you have the different parts, which I'll show you in just a minute, but the focus really is on your customer. What's their problem and who they are and how do you reach them and why they want to buy from you, okay? So that's what the focus is going to be. Here it is. This is something that we'll kind of drill down on each one of these topics over time, but we start out with what problem is your product solving? Or problems. And so you might list the top 3. Then you go right away over, I've handed this out actually. Does everybody have a copy of it? And I think your copies are numbered, are they? Yes. Okay, good. So it's either 1 and 2 or 1 and 1, because those two are so closely connected that they're really inseparable. So who are the customers whose problems you are solving? And have you got that right? See. So let's go. I want to give you an example. And I'm going to be pretty general on this because it really gets very detailed. We'll spend probably 20 minutes to 30 minutes each of the next Friday meetings to go into each of these things in much more detail. But let's say that this is actually a true story. It's a client that I had a couple of years ago, ABC Toy Company. It's not the real name. And the problems that they were trying to solve, as I put down 3 of them, is that they wanted to develop a fun toy that provided appropriate stimulation for children with special needs, fun toy with appropriate conceptual learning, and a fun toy that is safe. So we identified that. And then we went right over to the other side of the chart and who's going to buy it. And here's where this is helpful, because we ran into a big conflict between myself and our major investor, because he thought one target market was the one and I thought another was. And it wasn't that they weren't both customers, it's just that which one because we had limited resources, so which one did we target first. So family, we decided that the 3 segments were family, user, well, the user is the special needs child. Is that the buyer? No. Teachers and therapists. And he was convinced that it was the family that was going to buy the toys, and I was convinced that it was the teachers and therapists. But he didn't want to test it. Anyway, we won't go into that. Turned out that what we can do is we would put teachers and therapists as the #1 customer, and then family as the second, because the teachers and therapists would refer to the family. And the family will probably, you go to a special ed class, you see certain toys, then you buy them, or the teacher recommends them for the home, or you go to the speech therapist and they recommend them. So it turned out that teachers and therapists were the #1. Well, why was that important to know? The reason that's important to know is that we were going on to social media big time. Where do we go? And so what I did is I hit on chat groups, teachers' meetings, conferences for therapists, things like that, blogs where there were therapists writing information about, for example, autism. And so I went on and I started talking about how these toys made a difference for children with autism. And so we started building a following that way. So the middle thing is the unique value proposition. And that's, for this company, it was we design and sell fun toys and learning tools for children with special needs. Now, that's not the competitive edge, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. Does anybody want to share what their unique value proposition is? I'd like to get a couple from you all. Okay, Jan.
Helping you hear your best and helping you live your best.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, like that.
Say that again,
Please. Helping
I have to turn my hearing aids up. You're right.
Hear your best and helping you live your best.
It's a little loud, but
You guys freezing or?
can you turn down the air a little bit?
I can.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we need another one. How about Karen? Karen.
I make getting a mortgage fun.
Mm-hmm. Fun and profitable, or just fun?
It's fun and less stressful for the
Mm-hmm.
client.
Mm-hmm.
The borrowing,
Okay.
Eliminate the borrowing torture, or reduce it at
Mm-hmm.
least.
How about you?
I do emergency solutions in high-risk environments, and basically I create awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're aware of the threats, no matter if we're here in Tucson or overseas, and we act upon our awareness, then that's
Mm-hmm.
the end result right there.
Okay, good. So I'm going to go back. This, as I said, my finalized slideshow didn't get saved here, but so we've talked about 3 problems, and what you would do, what we will do is if you solve more than one problem, we'll do a lean canvas for each problem that's solved, and each of the target customer target markets might be different. Then we went over here and we talked about unique value proposition. Can I borrow one of the ones that's? Can I borrow yours, Sandy? Okay, good, thanks. Okay. No, number 3 is the solution, where you actually describe your solution so that people can understand. And I'll give you an example of that. Many people don't do that, believe it or not. I was just talking to a client last week, and I said, what is it that you're providing to your client? Because he's a consultant. And he tried to explain it to me, and I had no idea what he was talking about. It was so vague and general. I'm going to make your life better. You're going to be more successful.